The 15 members of the United Nations Security Council wrapped up an emergency session just minutes ago. The meeting was called to discuss the U.S. capture of Nicolás Maduro. The talks at the UN headquarters happening just a short distance away from where the ousted Venezuelan leader was appearing in court. And the CBC's Mark Carcasole has closely been following the meeting and joins us now. So, Mark, how are various member states reacting today?
Well, Andrew, this was a briefing just to sort of discuss how they feel about it. There was no actual decision here made, but for the most part, members of the Security Council are condemning the U.S.'s actions this weekend. We'll start off with the most obvious one, Venezuela, who says, when you listen to the language, that their president was kidnapped. Very different wording than how the U.S. would put it, obviously. They call this a flagrant violation of international law, human rights law, the UN Charter, Geneva Conventions, and personal immunity of heads of state. They say that these actions are a threat to every state on the Security Council, setting a dangerous precedent, calling this colonialism and neo-colonialism. China says the U.S. has disregarded very grave concerns of the international community, wantonly trampled on Venezuela's sovereignty, calling for the U.S. to keep Maduro and his wife safe and release them immediately. He says, their representative says, the U.S. is acting as the world police and the world's judge, bullying and using coercive practices. And then Russia also condemned the military action as a violation of international norms and laws. They are asking for the same thing to happen with the president, or with the now, I guess, deposed president of Venezuela. Have a listen to their ambassador, Vasily Nebenzia.
We call upon, corrects the Speaker, the U.S. leadership to immediately release the legitimately elected president of an independent state and his spouse. Any problems existing or conflict between the United States and Venezuela need to be resolved through dialogue.
Nebenzia tells the Security Council that failure to act on this represents a sign of cowardice and a lack of principle. Now, in Willie's report just earlier, we heard about some of the other countries that President Trump had talked about on Air Force One. Many of them were there, too. Mexico, Colombia did not comment on President Trump's words on Air Force One, but did also condemn the actions of the U.S. military on Saturday in Venezuela.
And the U.S. representative to the United Nations is at this meeting. What did he have to say?
Yeah, Mike Waltz, obviously speaking in a very different tone, saying that what the United States did in capturing Maduro keeps the Western Hemisphere safe. He talks about Maduro's history as a member and head of a cartel working with other cartel members. He says that Maduro was working with terrorist groups, including Hezbollah, to destabilize multiple regions across the world, let alone working in the drug trade. He says that UN reports themselves have called out the legitimacy of his election and the legitimacy of his presidency, and also cited human rights concerns with what Maduro's regime has done. He says that he and his wife are narco-terrorists and that this was an act of law enforcement.
Maduro is not just an indicted drug trafficker. He was an illegitimate so-called president. He was not a head of state. For years, Maduro and his cronies have manipulated Venezuela's electoral system to maintain their illegitimate grip on power.
While none of the states at the Security Council meeting today, or the guest members who spoke there, directly spoke in favor of the U.S.'s actions, some of them did seem to support them by a lack of words. In essence, the representative from the U.K. gave a very short speech in which he reaffirmed the UK's commitment to international law, but also reaffirmed that the UK does not recognize Maduro as president of Venezuela and says that his election was fraudulent. The representative from France as well, affirming that they believe in international law, but also talked about how Maduro repressed dissenting voices in Venezuela and had numerous human rights violations, and affirming that France also does not recognize him as the leader of Venezuela.
All right, Mark, thank you. The CBC's Mark Carcasole.